Cruise ship crew. Notice what you're wearing the second you step on board. Not because they're judging your style. Because what passengers choose to wear on embarkation day and throughout the sailing directly affects their safety, their comfort, and in some cases whether they have a holiday at all. We've spoken to former crew members who've worked across multiple major cruise lines, and the stories they told us about what passengers wore and what happened because of it are the kind of thing nobody mentions in a packing guide. Today on Cruise Compendium, we're covering 5 things passengers should never wear on a cruise ship, and the real reasons why. Number 1 on this list has sent people to the ship's medical center more than once. Let's get into it. Number 5, and this one breaks hearts because it happens on almost every single sailing. Passengers buy brand new shoes specifically for the cruise. They want to look good on day 1, feel fresh, make a good first impression at dinner. So they unbox the new shoes that morning, put them on for the first time, and walk down the gangway. By the time the ship leaves port, they're already uncomfortable. By the second sea day, they can barely walk. Here is what's happening. On a cruise ship, you walk. A lot more than most people expect. The average cruise passenger walks 4 to 6 miles per day between the ship and port excursions. On embarkation day alone, finding your cabin, exploring the ship, the sail-away deck, dinner, you can easily cover 2 miles before 9 in the evening. New shoes haven't molded to your feet. The materials are stiff. And if there's any swelling, which is common at sea, those shoes become genuinely painful within hours. Number 4, flip-flops. We understand completely. You're going somewhere warm. The whole point is sun, sea, and sand. And flip-flops are fine. At the pool deck, at the beach, on the private island. Nobody is telling you not to pack them. The problem is, passengers who wear flip-flops as their only footwear for the entire cruise. And specifically, passengers who wear them in situations where they are genuinely dangerous. Cruise ships move. Even in calm conditions, the deck shifts. In any kind of sea swell, the movement is more pronounced. Wet pool decks. Metal staircases between decks. The tender pier when you're transferring to a small boat at a port that doesn't have a deep water dock. These are all situations where flip-flops, which offer no grip, no ankle support, and no protection, create a real fall risk. Former crew told us about passengers who slipped on wet metal stairs in flip-flops and spent the rest of the sailing in the medical center. About tender transfers where passengers in flip-flops struggled to step securely between the tender and the dock. About shore excursions where the terrain was nothing like what the brochure photograph suggested, and passengers in open footwear were genuinely at risk. Pack your flip-flops. Wear them at the pool. But bring at least 1 pair of closed, secure shoes for anything that involves movement, stairs, or an excursion. It is not a small distinction. Quick pause here. If this is the kind of practical, honest information you want before your next cruise, hit subscribe right now. This is exactly what we do every week at Cruise Compendium. The things the brochures leave out, from people who've actually been on these ships. Subscribe, turn on the bell, and let's keep going. Number 3 is the one that causes the most arguments in cruise groups. Number 3. And this one isn't about safety on the ship. It's about what happens the moment you step off it. Passengers who wear expensive, visible jewelry at every port stop, particularly at the ports we've covered in previous videos, the ones with active travel advisories, are creating a problem for themselves that is entirely avoidable. The ports on a Caribbean or Mexican cruise itinerary are not all equivalent in terms of what's smart to wear. At a private island, at a beach club owned by the cruise line, visible jewelry is fine. At the port gates in Colón, Panama, or walking from the dock in Belize City, visible expensive jewelry is an invitation to the wrong kind of attention. Former crew members told us they can spot the passengers who are most at risk in port within seconds of disembarkation. And expensive visible jewelry is the most consistent factor. The rule is straightforward, and it applies to every port, not just the ones with advisories. Leave the pieces that matter at home. Use the in-cabin safe for anything valuable. Wear the kind of jewelry at port that, if it were gone at the end of the day, would not ruin your cruise and would not break your heart. The ocean doesn't care about your earrings. Leave the good ones in the safe. Number 2, tight clothing on long sea days. And specifically, anything that restricts circulation around your ankles, calves, or waist for extended periods. This one is especially relevant for passengers with any circulation concerns, and for anyone doing a longer sailing with multiple consecutive sea days. At sea, particularly on longer crossings, passengers sit for extended periods. At dinner, in the theater, on the sun deck, blood pools in the lower legs faster when you're sedentary, and the combination of sitting, eating more than usual, and the humidity of a ship environment means swelling in the feet and ankles is genuinely common. Tight waistbands, tight compression jeans, ankle boots with stiff cuffs, or anything that constricts circulation around the lower leg makes this significantly worse. Former crew have seen passengers whose ankles swelled so severely during long sea days that they couldn't get their shoes back on after dinner. On longer sailings, transatlantic crossings, repositioning cruises, this is not a minor inconvenience. It can develop into something that requires a visit to the ship's medical center, which is not free and is not where you want to spend a sea day. Wear breathable, loose-fitting clothing on sea days. Compression socks, which sound counterintuitive but work by applying graduated pressure that aids circulation rather than restricting it, are genuinely useful on longer sailing days. Move around the ship every hour or two, and if your clothing is leaving marks on your skin at the end of a sea day, it is too tight for life at sea. We've put together a complete cruise packing guide on the Cruise Compendium website. What to bring, what to leave at home, and what to wear at each type of port stop. It covers everything from formal night dress codes to excursion footwear by destination. Free. Link is in the description. Worth reading before you pack. Number 1 coming up. And this is the one that crew members said they see cause the most genuine problems, not just discomfort, but actual medical situations, on almost every sailing. Number 1. And we want to frame this correctly before we get into it, because it's the item on this list that people are most likely to dismiss, and the one that matters most. Every passenger on a cruise ship is required to complete a muster drill before the ship sails. On most lines in 2026, this is done digitally through the app, before departure. The muster station is where you go in an emergency. The emergency procedures assume you can move quickly, on deck, across potentially wet or obstructed surfaces, and board a lifeboat efficiently. The shoes that a meaningful number of passengers wear to their muster station, and throughout the sailing, are the shoes they would never choose if they genuinely thought about that scenario. High heels, loose mules with no backstrap, soaking wet flip-flops from the pool deck, shoes that cannot be run in, shoes that will come off in motion. Former crew members were consistent on this point. In any kind of emergency or urgent situation on board, and these situations do happen, from medical emergencies requiring rapid movement to the rare but real scenarios that require muster stations, passengers in unsuitable footwear become a problem for themselves and, in crowded situations, for those around them. You do not need to wear trainers to the formal dinner, but you should be able to reach your muster station efficiently in whatever you're wearing. The question to ask every morning when you get dressed on a ship is simply this: if I needed to move quickly across a wet deck right now, could I do it in these shoes? If the answer is no, change them, or be aware of where your suitable shoes are and how fast you could get to them. It is a small habit. It costs nothing. And it is the single most consistent piece of advice that former crew members shared with us for this video. 5 things. None of them complicated. None of them requiring you to dress differently than you want to dress for the holiday you've booked. Break in the shoes before Embarkation Day. Bring secure footwear for anything that isn't the pool deck. Leave the good jewelry at home. Wear breathable clothing on sea days. And be able to move quickly in whatever you're wearing on the ship. The crew who told us these things aren't being precious about fashion. They've seen what happens when passengers don't know this. They've called the medical center. They've filed the incident reports. They'd rather you watched this video instead. If this saved you from at least one mistake before your next sailing, please give this video a like. It genuinely helps other cruisers find it before they pack. And drop a comment below. What's the worst packing mistake you've made or seen on a cruise? We read everyone. Some of the best content on this channel comes directly from what our viewers share in the comments. Subscribe to Cruise Compendium for a new honest cruise guide every single week. Safe sailing.